hope you all had a great night's sleep. I'm still trying to wake up. I'm having my coffee and I spilled some of it on my shirt. So I guess I'm not all the way awake. This morning I wanted to make some cinnamon rolls. Randy had a hard day yesterday. I wanted to fix him something comforting. His daughter Cassie has a really good recipe for these cinnamon rolls, and I wanted to make those. We enjoyed those at Christmas. She made them. They're pretty delicious. So I'm gonna get some ingredients together and I'll be back. I'm a little hoarse this morning, so y'all please bear with me. I wanted to talk to you a minute about yeast. You know, people think yeast is yeast, and it basically it is. But you've got active dry yeast, and then I threw this other pack away. Hold on, let me see if it's still laying right here. Yeah, it's right here on the top. I kind of tore it, but maybe you can see it. Rapid rise, instant yeast. Now, with instant yeast, you do not have to put that in your liquid. You don't have to do that. You can basically, this acts faster, of course, faster than the active dry. And I'll tell you why. Now, I did dissolve this in my milk because I don't want to use my flour and all of my expensive ingredients and whatever and put my milk in there and it not rise. And I feel like, oh my gosh, I've wasted all of that. Now I've got to start over. Because there are times that and it's rare, but it has happened, that your yeast may be expired, you didn't notice it, or it may not rise. It could have, something could have happened to it. And I have had that to happen. So, if you want to risk it, you don't have to put this in your liquid. You can put it directly into your dry ingredients. Okay? It wakes up pretty quick. It probably is probably already awake. Now, the active dry yeast, it takes a little while for this to work, simply because there is a coating around these little granules. And what that coating is dead yeast. It's a dead yeast coating around this yeast. But you have to put this in your liquid and proof it. And if you're gonna use yeast, always add sugar to it. Even if the recipe doesn't call for sugar, add just a tad of sugar. They need something to eat on. Because what they do is they eat and they pass gas, pretty much. You want to get logical about it. And it creates the bubbles, the carbon dioxide. So, anyway, that's that. I've heard some people say, don't dissolve your instant yeast in water. Well, I don't want to risk ruining my recipe. So I'm going to make sure that it works. And this recipe calls for 1 1/4 cup of milk. And I made banana pudding the other night, and I was like, oh, Lord, I don't know if I got enough milk. Well, I poured it in my measuring cup, and guess what? I had 1 1/4 exactly of milk. God's good. So anyway, we're going to get busy on this recipe. It's easy. It doesn't call for any eggs. It's simply sugar and yeast and milk, flour, and some salt and butter. And then the icing is a pack of cream cheese, a stick of butter, and vanilla, and powdered sugar. So, and some brown sugar for the, and cinnamon. And it's pretty much probably what everybody's got in their pantry. So, excuse me, y'all. I'm sorry. It's early. All right. Let me lower that just a little bit. I don't want the thing to fall over. All right, I've got 3 cups of all-purpose flour. And I always try to, you know, stir it up a little bit because that kind of gives it a fluffing, you know. It's almost like it's been sifted, but not really. It just helps break it up. Okay. Now I need a teaspoon of salt. I've told y'all before, never add your salt directly to the yeast. It will kill it. Okay? This is a half a teaspoon. I've got to use 2 of these for this recipe. That makes 1 teaspoon. Okay. That's a teaspoon of salt. Now I got to have 3 tablespoons of sugar. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Now you want to mix this all together. Make sure they're all incorporated. I hope you guys have a great day. Be safe. And I've got some bench flour. Okay, now, you got to do 1/4 cup of melted butter, and you got to add your 1/4 cup of milk with 1 packet of yeast, and I've already dissolved it. See how it gets, see the foaminess? That's what you want. Let me pour that right here. I don't want it all over my mat. Okay. And then you want to add your butter. For those of you who are not bakers or that are intimidated by doing stuff like this, please don't be. I mean, really, don't be. I was watching a show this morning, and a girl made a comment and said, please put, not on mine, it was somebody else's, and said, please put the recipe down or what temperature that you baked your potato at. And she said, I don't know how to bake a potato. Well, you know, a lot of people were, they didn't grow up in homes, you know, where they did a lot of home cooking. They probably had a big a big family, or they had to, you know, work a lot, had a lot of things they had to do. So some people didn't cook, or they don't cook like they used to. I mean, I don't know. I'm gonna add a little bit more flour to that. But you know, we didn't, when we were growing up, we didn't get to go out and eat. I think I was, y'all gonna laugh at this, but I think I was 18 years old before I ever went to McDonald's. I know that sounds crazy, but it's the truth. You know, just couldn't afford it back then. I know that sounds crazy, and I think about it, and it does, but it is the honest to God's truth. When we would go to the beach growing up, my mama would pack sandwiches on the way to the beach, and we would stop on the side of the road. I remember this. We would stop on the side of the road and, you know, like at a picnic table or something like that, or rest area or something. I don't really remember it being a rest area, but I do remember it being a picnic table, and have sandwiches. And when we would get to the beach, we didn't go out and eat. Mama cooked. We would get a room that had a kitchen. Daddy would go out and do fishing or the crabbing or whatever. Daddy liked to fish in Norfolk at the James River or the Chesapeake, and that's what we would eat. But you know what? It was some of the best times I ever had playing at the beach. So, you know. Okay. Now, this is kind of sticky. I don't know if it's supposed to be sticky. Probably is. You know, I've told y'all that flour takes on different amounts of moisture at different times. Some days it may not need much. Some days it may just want more. You know, just depends on the humidity. Okay. But I'm serious. We had a great time growing up at the beach. I mean, we had family. My uncles were in the Navy, and that was another reason that we went. My mama's brothers were stationed there. But that was really the only beach we went to growing up. But I was 18 years old before I ever ate at McDonald's. Isn't that crazy? Okay. And it wasn't that we were like poor. I mean, we wasn't rich by no means. But, you know, both of my parents worked in textile. And it was 4 of us. So, you know, it wasn't easy, but it wasn't, we wasn't, you know, destitute. They were just frugal. So, this bowl here, I've got some vegetable oil in it. I think I've got enough. Hold on. I'm going to put just a little bit more. You want, when you're going to take this dough out of this bowl, you got to put it in a clean bowl so it can rise. You want to use an oil that has no flavor, okay? You don't want to use olive oil because then your cinnamon rolls are going to taste like olive oil. You want a flavorless oil, and I've got vegetable oil right here, okay? So I'm going to try to get this dough out of here. But I'm going to tell you, her rolls were delicious. She's a really good cook, too. I've told y'all that. My stepdaughter and my daughter, she's a really good cook. Maybe y'all get to meet her. I'm hoping Zoe, my granddaughter, well, I say I've got 2 granddaughters because Randy's got a granddaughter too. But they're precious, I tell you. Her and Zoe, to me, favor so much. In a way, people thought that they were actually cousins or something. And they play really good together most of the time. You know, when girls are together for more than a day or so, then they get cranky with each other. But then 5 minutes later, they're wanting to play again. Randy's like, why are they fighting? I said, Randy, they'll be over in a minute. And they were. Okay. So we're going to let that sit and rise. Okay. That's a pretty dough. It's silky. Of course it is now that I put that oil on it too. Try to get that off the side of that bowl. Talking about going to the Chesapeake Bay. I used to love to fish, and I would go out there with Daddy and Mama. We'd all go out on the boat, and my daddy had a boat. It wasn't a big boat. It was like a fishing boat, and I loved to fish. Well, when I got a little bit older, we went out, and I got so sick. I was just laying there like, oh, God, let me die now. I mean, I felt like I was going to upchuck my toenails. I was so miserable. I've never been so nauseated in my life. So Daddy, he done went way out into the ocean, it felt like. So he finally got tired of hearing me say, I'm sick. He drove the boat all the way back to the hotel in the ocean. All right, here's the hotel, here's the ocean. I had to jump out of the boat. and which the water wasn't but like up to here. But he said, I'm not getting in the car and driving you back. He said, I'm going to pull up to the hotel and you can jump out the boat and go to the room. And that's what I did. As soon as my feet hit the ground, it was over. I wasn't sick anymore. And it kind of broke my heart because I love fishing so much. But anyway, that's funny. I thought that was a funny story. Okay, we're going to let this rise for an hour. Okay? Or until it doubles in size. You want to put it somewhere warm where there's no draft. Cover it with either, I don't never cover it with plastic wrap. I always use a towel. And we'll check back in a little while. Okay? I wanted to tell y'all this. You got to let that, put it in a warm spot. I've told y'all about Franny Jo, Savvy Sweets. She has a channel. She puts her dough in her dryer. She'll run her clothes dryer for a while. Get it warm. She sticks her dough in her dryer. Turns it off, of course, but she sticks it in there when it's warm, and it rises beautifully. But I've got mine sitting in the oven only with the light on, but I've got it covered up. So anyway, I thought that was funny too. If y'all make this recipe, take out a stick of butter and 1 package of cream cheese to let it get room temperature. Okay? It sure makes up a lot easier. I love cream cheese. Woo. I could just break it off and eat it like that. can't imagine no one not liking cream cheese. Okay, I'll be back. Hey, how are y'all? So it's been an hour, or a little over an hour. Look at there. It smells so good. So I'm gonna dump this out. Flour my surface here. Ooh, it's pretty dough. Y'all try this recipe. Look at there. Okay. Well, you want to knead it a few minutes, I'm sorry. Just a few minutes. It's a little too loose. Just knead it till it's a little smooth. I think that's about enough. Hey, I wanted to let it rise again because it wasn't, I couldn't knead it very well. Well, I could knead it, but I couldn't roll it out without it. It was just too hard. And I added some butter in the dough, kneaded some butter in the dough. Trying to make it kind of a little bit of a brioche type. But see, it's really risen. So it should be workable now. I went back to sleep. We were watching TV and I just went on back to sleep. Yeah, that's a lot better. Oh yes, see, it's working good now. I just, I put about a couple of tablespoons of butter and folded it in and worked it. Kind of just enriching it more. I mean, the dough was fine the way it was. I do that with a lot of dough, like when I'm making something like this. Oh, my wrist. Alrighty, let's get this rolled out. I'm gonna put some extra flour on it, I believe. a rectangle. Try to. Randy's gone walking. It looks like I got it about, I don't know, 18 inches by 17 or 18. The recipe didn't say, you know, the actual measurement of what you're supposed to roll it out to. But you got to take some butter, melted butter, and just brush on the top of the dough here. Sun is shining bright today. It's beautiful outside. We were watching TV and I just fell asleep. Okay. And then I'm going to sprinkle some cinnamon. You just sprinkle, you know, what you like. And then I'm going to put some cinnamon sugar on it too. You can add nuts to it if you want to, fruit, whatever you like. It didn't say how much brown sugar to put on it, but I'm just going to eyeball it. Probably just a, you know, just a thin layer, maybe. We'll see. I had this piece of a bag there. Leave a little bit of your edges kind of. Don't put a lot on the edge. You can put some, but just not a lot. Drip a little butter on there too. Make it real gooey. Why not? Okay, let me wash my hands. Okay, now we're going to try to roll it up. Sprinkle just a little bit of this on the edge, or near the edge. Seems like sometimes though when you roll it up and cut it, the very end pieces don't have enough stuff in it. Okay, now we're going to take it and try to fold it up. Or not fold it up, roll it up, guys. I'm trying to wake up. I fell asleep. I was sleeping really good. And kind of do it tight. There we go. Start off tight and then just push it. See? Pinch your seams together. It might take a couple of pinches. Okay. And then just leave it seam side down. Okay. Isn't that pretty? Alright, we got a casserole dish. Move some of this flour. Like that. It's a 9 by 13. Excuse me. Take some of this butter, put in here. Alrighty. Now, alright, when you cut these rolls, I don't want to cut my silicone mat, so I got to be careful. But you don't want to press hard. It's like you're just, you know, barely going into it. But I'm gonna start with the middle first. Just saw it. Don't just press. Just barely let the knife do the work. Okay? It's a very nice dough. And then you want to cut it in half again. Okay? Alrighty. Then you want to cut it in half again. And then cut those pieces. And then you just want to lay it in your dish. Close together. Not too close. I think it's 3 across. I might have to do 2 pans of these, I believe. I don't know. We'll see. This is a nice dough. like I said, I put some extra butter in the dough to kind of give it like a brioche situation. Because that's what makes a brioche is extra butter. You don't have to. Cut the little end off of that. See there? And you got to let that set until it rises a little more. It smells so yummy. I think I'll cut these in thinner pieces. Let's try anyway. All right, let me get another dish. Gonna butter that. And then I'm gonna set these in here. So there we go. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 18. How about that? They're going to be big. I have 18 cinnamon rolls. They smell so good. So you got to let this sit for probably 30 minutes. Let this rise. And then we bake them. And then we can ice them. And then you can eat them.